Salvete omnes. In this fifth and final section of our topic on Julius Caesar, we'll learn about his final actions as dictator and how they led to his assassination. Make sure that you make notes on the following key questions. Number 1, what sort of things did Caesar do as dictator and why? Number 2, what concerns did the Republicans have about his leadership? Number 3, what happened on the Ides of March and why? And number 4, what events took place after Caesar's death and who ultimately emerged as Rome's new leader? So, after his victories in Egypt and across the Mediterranean, Caesar returned to Rome as triumphant leader. He seized control of the government, becoming dictator, with the aim of implementing critical reforms and restoring stability to the Republic. As dictator, Caesar initiated various measures to address pressing issues, such as enacting land reforms to provide land for Rome's growing population and implementing a new calendar known as the Julian calendar, which is the basis for our modern calendar system that we still use today. It appeared that he was setting in place his long-term vision for Rome in attempting to secure his position before a planned invasion of Parthia to avenge the death of Crassus and the humiliating defeat of his army. However, Caesar's ascent to power unsettled many senators and aristocrats who feared his growing influence and the perceived threat to the traditional republican order. Among those deeply troubled were Marcus Junius Brutus, a senator with familial ties to Caesar, but torn between loyalty and fears for the Republic's future. And so, despite his accomplishments, Caesar faced significant opposition from senators led by Brutus, as well as Gaius Cassius Longinus, often known as Cassius. And so these senators saw themselves as defenders of the Republic, and they believed that Caesar's concentration of power threatened the liberties of the Roman people, and it was up to them to save them. So, on the Ides of March, the 15th of March 44 BC, fate took a treacherous turn. Caesar entered the Senate chamber unaware of the plot brewing against him, and in a shocking act of betrayal, a group of senators, including Brutus and Cassius, assassinated Caesar. There were a number of reasons behind this conspiracy. The aristocracy felt that they were losing their privileges, and many were uneasy about Cleopatra's presence in Rome. Furthermore, Caesar had celebrated a triumph for his victories against the Pompeians. Remember that they were fellow Romans in Spain. The senators were concerned at Caesar's increasing power and felt that he thought he was above them. And we'll look at examples of his arrogant behaviour when we look at the primary sources. So Caesar acted as superior to them, but outsiders from the lower classes, meanwhile, were able to join them in the Senate. And so this all led to rumours that he wanted to become king, something which the Romans were violently opposed to. The assassination plunged Rome into chaos and uncertainty. The conspirators hoped to restore the Republic, but instead they inadvertently set in motion a chain of events that would ultimately lead to the demise of the Roman Republic itself. Mark Antony, Caesar's trusted lieutenant, seized the opportunity to rally support and avenge his fallen leader. He delivered a powerful funeral oration, stirring the Roman people's emotions and sowing seeds of discontent against the conspirators. After more years of power struggles between Mark Antony, the conspirators, the Senate, Caesar's great-nephew and adopted heir Octavian eventually ended the civil wars by defeating Antony and Cleopatra in the Battle of Actium in 31 BC. He would become Rome's first emperor, Augustus. So, before you finish, make sure that you have answered the following questions in your notes. Number 1, what sort of things did Caesar do as dictator and why? Number 2, what concerns did the Republicans have about his leadership? Number 3, what happened on the Ides of March and why? Number 4, what events took place after Caesar's death and who ultimately emerged as Rome's new leader? Thanks, and I'll see you in class.